InvestorIdeas.com podcasts.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of InvestorIdeas.com podcasts, looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts. In today's podcast, I interview Will Ralston, president of SinglePoint Incorporated, trading on the OTCQB as Sing, where we discuss SinglePoint's latest acquisition of Direct Solar, SinglePoint's largest deal to date, as well as the company's expectations for 2019. Today I'm here with Will Ralston, president of SinglePoint. Will, thanks for joining us. Can you talk to our listeners about the recent developments in SinglePoint, specifically your acquisition of Direct Solar?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, and we're very excited for Direct Solar, the most recent acquisition we've had. It's our largest acquisition to date, and the company has just been on a tremendous growth tear because of its ability to expand quickly as there's no infrastructure behind that of just doing sales and marketing. So in 2019, I think that we can get this company doing somewhere in the range of 2 to 3 million. And then post that, the 12 months post the date of the finalized acquisition, which was actually just May 14th, I think those following 12 months will bring us in anywhere from 5 to 7 million in revenue. So it's really a big boost for SinglePoint to make this acquisition. It's in line with what we've been doing in getting into these emerging technologies and industries that are prime for growth, especially something as big as solar and how top of mind climate change is for people right now. And I think that's a lot of what's driving the growth of Direct Solar is there's so many customers and consumers looking to not only save on their energy and power costs, but also, reduce the amount of energy they're using, that's derived from fossil fuels and move to a more renewable energy source.
Could you maybe explain for any of the listeners unfamiliar with Direct Solar and maybe what separates it from some of the other solar companies, maybe the more specifics of how the company works and what your expectations are with using it as part of SinglePoint now?
Yeah, absolutely. So Direct Solar, the way it works is it's very similar to a lending tree, a Rocket Mortgage, a Priceline, where you can actually go work with Direct Solar and you can get a quote from multiple different contractors, which can then be paired with multiple different financiers so that you can find the best deal and the most efficient deal for what's available in your area. The benefit to that is you don't have to go out and do the shopping yourself. We've already got the relationships established. We've already got the financing established, and we can come back to you with multiple options, just as you would if you were looking at a Rocket Mortgage or a Lending Tree or a Priceline. You go to those sites to help find the best option for your specific needs, and it helps cut down on the research and everything that you have to do to get into a place where you feel comfortable that you've found the right contractor or financer to work with. So we're taking all of that, putting it together in a nice package to present and discuss with the customer, and then we actually continue to work with the customer all the way through the installation. So you don't just pick a package that fits your needs and then, we say, see you later. We're actually walking you through the entire thing all the way until that solar is installed and operational on your location.
I know that Direct Solar does already have a lot of residential and commercial components. Are you guys going to focus more on residential, or do you see a bigger market in residential or more in commercial, like in the emerging markets you're already involved with, for instance, cannabis and tech? Both require huge energy needs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, residential is a big component of it. I think that we just surpassed the 2 millionth install residentially, and we see a massive opportunity for commercial sized systems, and we are in doing those as well. So you see companies like Amazon and all these different large businesses actually working with solar opportunities to establish, microgrids in local areas and things like that. So we do see a massive opportunity in the commercial side, and we will be working with different cannabis cultivation. And that's one of our reasons for buying this company is we believe that because of the power intensiveness that it does take to grow cannabis currently, there's a massive opportunity to create efficiencies and save money on your energy costs when cultivating cannabis, hemp, or any other indoor plants for that matter. So large scale commercial size for growing any type of plant, but we'll focus and work with some of our partners that we've established in order to get some commercial solar installations at cannabis cultivation facilities.
I'm glad you mentioned the larger companies there getting involved. I know that the recent development with Facebook and Google and 300 other companies forming Reba was a big development in the last week. Could you talk a little bit about the receptiveness you've seen both from the residential and the commercial side towards solar, specifically with direct solar?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I just want to clarify one thing. Direct solar hasn't had its 2 millionth install. The industry,
yes.
That's what just happened a couple of weeks ago. So it leads directly into your point of, yes, the receptiveness is there, and we're seeing tremendous growth as the solar becomes more affordable and it becomes more, climate change and efficiency becomes more top of mind for people. We're seeing that tick up, right? If you look at some of the installation charts, we saw a little lull over the previous about 3 years ago, and then it started to tick up. If you look at the last 2 years, the installations are just starting to go off the charts, and I think that it's because adoption is there. It's because people are aware of it now, and it's becoming affordable. With the technologies being produced and how they're now being produced, people can actually say, hey, this is a worthwhile investment for my home and for the future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It is good to hear that there is better reception to that, just because I would guess maybe, is there, how aware is the commercial and the residential community of the availability of how, like direct solar, for instance, where you're providing a lot of the framework to get solar installations happening for them? Is that the main issue for most people? Is most people just don't know how to actually start their own solar or renewable energy program or change their energy systems as they are?
Well, it's a big investment, right? I mean,
yeah.
Your systems are in the, tens of thousands of dollars. So to make that switch is not an easy thing, to kind of shift that thinking. But once you kind of shift that thinking to, well, I'm already, people are accustomed to paying their electricity bill every month, right? So once you can adjust that thinking to, well, I'm paying my electricity bill, but now I'm just going to pay my solar loan and I should break even. I won't have an electricity bill for many months. And if I do, it'll be in the high intense usage times of the year. Like in Arizona, it's summertime. Maybe my bill will be $10, but the rest of the year I'm either getting a rebate or I'm breaking even and I'm just paying the loan, right? So my costs don't change, but that overall initial hurdle is tough to get over. Either whether it's taking out the loan and getting the install done, or most of how this is done right now is there's a lot of door-to-door type situations, and it's it's a tough sale to say, hey, I'm gonna purchase solar right now from somebody that approached my house 10 minutes ago. So the education part is something that we're huge into, and that's the reason why we love this model, is because we can present the homeowner with all the education and all the options for financing and installers that are available to them, instead of them having to go out and talk to many different installers or financiers on their own, which is an arduous process. So that's where we intend and believe that we can make a difference, is the educational aspect, as well as making the road to actually getting that system installed on your house a lot less hassle-free.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a good concept and a good way to go about it. So for SinglePoint, you guys have always been very on the leading edge of whatever the new emerging market is. You have single coin, single seed, and now direct solar. So what is the next big tech area or the next big emerging sector you think will complement the SinglePoint portfolio? Or what's the next real area you see that there's a lot of potential that could partner into solar or into some of the projects you're already working with?
Well, if we're looking from the cannabis side, I think that the next big thing that's going to happen is, we just saw Colorado legalize mushrooms.
Yeah.
And there is some amazing research behind mushrooms and depression and other major things that are happening in our society right now.
Yeah.
So,
especially with PTSD, huge scientific research coming out with that.
Lots of scientific research there. We've been through this already once with cannabis and SinglePoint, and I believe now, where we're at and the relationships we have, and having seen what happened and come out of the cannabis industry, there's an opportunity there for us to be involved from the beginning in that particular segment, and whether that's getting in and buying a company that's going to be established here shortly, or whatever it might be. I think that's the next big wave in terms of if we're going down the cannabis kind of holistic side of the emerging markets that we've jumped into.
That's super exciting to hear. I'm really glad that you're paying attention to that element, because it's something I've been reading a lot about, and it's very interesting, the stuff that's going on with psilocybin research, and I do think that it is going to be as influential to at least the medical community and to a lot of things, really, as cannabis has been.
Absolutely. I mean, the psilocybin part of this whole opportunity and the research that's being done on it is already ahead of what has been able to be done on cannabis. And it's just becoming now legalized. So I believe there's a heavy opportunity there for many companies, and we hope that we can participate in that, probably through the purchase of some sort of manufacturing facility early on.
That will definitely be a development I keep an eye on. In closing, what should investors be aware of for SinglePoint moving forward going into 2019 with Direct Solar, as well as any of your other acquisitions?
The only thing that I would like to share in addition is that, Direct Solar here has put us on, the financial grounds, and believe will provide the company the revenues and the EPS that is required of us in order to make a move to the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. So that's a big part of this acquisition. Is it is our largest acquisition to date. We believe that we can really push this, company to the next level, and in turn, that'll help us get SinglePoint to the next level, which is a listed exchange. So We're very excited for that. That's our next big goal that we're heading out for, and that was a big decision in deciding to pull the trigger on this acquisition. Was, is this something that's going to take us to,
the next
call
level,
it the promised land? Yep.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the best. It seems like you guys are, again, making a lot of the, at least, right moves as far as connecting dots with different industries very well.
That's what we've always tried to do. One of our, initial things when we go look at different companies is what's the cross-pollination opportunities between the companies we currently own and the technology we have in-house. How can that supplement this particular company? And, part of that for Direct Solar was our applications for lead generation and building out an online opportunity for people to actually go through the entire process of getting a quote and generating a quote based off of some of the core functionalities that we've already built for the company ShieldSaver that we acquired, that are where people are getting quotes and issuing quotes in the automotive industry. So there were synergies around the platforms, which made a lot of sense that we can go ahead and, add an additional layer of opportunity for homeowners to make the process even easier to get an estimated quote simply from their mobile device or their computer, and have the process done online like everything else is purchased these days.
Yeah, it does sound like it'll allow solar to become a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for talking today, Will.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And go sing.
Yeah, go sing.
For disclosure purposes, this podcast creation and distribution featuring SinglePoint Incorporated is a paid-for service on InvestorIdeas.com. Learn more about our costs and services for podcasts and news publishing at www.investorideas.com/news-upload. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.